do you think, Kate?
Yes.
Do you agree with that? So it happened to be, right, that this was 5 and the number to the right was higher. So you could have, but if it had been 5.46, and we wanted to round that to the nearest 10, what would that be?
It would,
Rounded to the nearest 10.
so it's lower than, the 4 is lower than 5, so then that stays the same and the 6 becomes a 0.
Well, the 4 is going to help you with the 5 here. We're trying to round to the nearest 10. So you're right, you want to look at the 4, but the 4 is going to help you know which way I round this number, which is in the tenths place. So does the 4 tell you you have to round higher or keep it the same?
Keep it the same.
So what would it be? How many tenths? We're going to keep this the same.
5 and, no, 5.
5 tenths,
5 tenths.
right? Who agrees? All right, we're going to end there, which is rule 1 off. So, I'm going to tell you a math story now. And I'm not going to tell you the question. I'm going to ask you. So can you answer this story after I tell it to you? I'm not going to tell you the question. Will you be able to answer it? You won't be able to answer it. You won't be able to give me an answer. So in your head, I just want you to try to make sense of the question, right? Not finding the answer, because you won't have the question to be able to know what you're answering. Just want you to try to think of making sure you understand the story, okay? So here's the story. My friend Nicholas was painting a wall at a park near his house as part of a community service project. He had painted half of the wall yellow when the park director walked by and said, "This wall is supposed to be red." Uh-oh. So Nicholas immediately started painting over the yellow portion of the wall. By the end of the day, he had painted 5/6 of the yellow portion red. We read it again, put it up under the document camera so you can read along if you want to. Thinking how to do this.
There's a mouse, you can use the mouse there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's why it doesn't respond. Look at that. Look at how good I've gotten with these cameras. It's the first time I've used one. Listen.
Let's just move the mouse again. Yeah.
I speak too soon, huh? Alright, let me go back to this. So here it is. Nicholas painting his wall. Nicholas is helping paint a wall at a park near his house as part of a community service project. Can you see what he had? He had painted half the wall yellow when the park director walked by and said, "This wall is supposed to be painted red." Silly boy, I think he was thinking that. Nicholas immediately started painting over the yellow portion of the wall. By the end of the day, he had repainted 5/6 of the yellow portion red. I want you to turn to a friend and whisper that story to your friend. Put in your words the story that is happening. Alright, fifth graders 5, 4, 3. I didn't even get to 2. Awesome, thank you. Does someone think I know this story? I can tell it in my own words. Does someone think they can do it? Ethan, do you think you can?
Yeah, sure. So Nicholas is painting the wall. He painted half the wall yellow. Then he found out the wall was supposed to be painted red. Then at the end
Wrong
of the day,
paint. Have you ever done that? Like painted something with more paint?
Yeah.
No, you haven't. Okay. Well, you're lucky then.
Yes. So then by the end of the day, he painted 5/6 of the yellow part of the wall red.
Okay. So some of it's still yellow. Huh?
Yes.
Ah. What do you all think? Do you think that Ethan did a good job telling that story? He really got it. Do you want to add something, Jackson?
I wasn't really going to ask me. I was going to say I can make an example of what it meant by it.
Are you thinking like you have a strategy of how to solve? Is that what you're thinking?
You know, I'm saying like I can make a
Like draw a picture to represent that?
Yeah.
Great. Well, I want you to hold that in your head because I want you to put that
Demonstration,
a
that's
demonstration. That's a great thought to have. I want everyone to be thinking about that. So, what question do you think I'm going to ask you? What question could I ask? Just think in your head right now. And thank you for remembering that. Is it Willie? Is your name Willie? No, Riley. I saw the Tilly part of it. So right now I want you to show me thinking of questions in your head. You're thinking. You have one question, two questions. You have more than one question.
Can you add a second?
Sure, you could use 2 hands. If you came up with 10 questions, I'd be really sad. Okay, I want you to turn and whisper to a friend. What's a question I could ask you about this story?
Are you also trying to see how much?
Wrap up in 5,
Oh, that's not big.
4, 3, 2. Great. Show me. I haven't thought of a question yet, although hopefully you heard one from a friend. I have a question. I have 2 questions. Let's see. I can't see your name. Elizabeth, what's a question you were thinking of?
How much of the wall is not red?
How much of the wall is not red? Everybody think of that question. Show Elizabeth if you have that question. Okay. So how much of the wall does he still have to paint, basically, is what you're saying, yes? Okay. So how much of the wall does, I'm just going to call him Nick for short, have to paint? Or we could say, how much of the wall is not red? Yes? Okay. Did you have a different question?
Yeah.
Great.
It's missing in the story. Like, to find the answer, what is missing?
What's the missing information? Okay. Okay. Do you have a question?
No, I got it. How much of the wall is painted yellow?
How much of the wall is painted yellow after he finishes repainting some of the red? Is that what you're thinking? So at the end of the day, how much of is painted yellow? Whoa, have you guys done this before? Never? They've never done this before? They're like really good question cover-uppers. Yeah. All right, do you have a different question, Nate? All right, what's yours?
Wall did he paint?
How much total wall did he paint?
Yeah.
She got it.
Both colors, either color?
Yes.
All right. How much wall did he paint at the end of the day? Much. To be honest with you guys, usually it takes 2 or 3 times to get this good at asking questions. Josh, do you have a different question?
How much of the entire wall is painted red?
How much of the entire wall at the end of the day is painted red? Was anybody else thinking of that question? How much is painted red at the end of the day? All right, I have one question I was
Can we
thinking
know that?
about. I I'm wondering how big this wall is. Was anybody wondering that?
Yeah.
How big is this? And I also wonder, like, how much paint does it take? Like, how many gallons of paint does it take?
I can't really read it.
The wall is orange.
How big is this wall?
This is big. I saw the photograph this morning.
If you wanted to be really, really high level, you could even go and figure out how much paint costs. Right? I just had to buy some paint for my bathroom. It's extremely expensive. I'm a little shocked at how expensive it is. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a question here because I see people have other questions, and I know you guys have great questions. You can come up with your own question. So these are the questions that we as a class have generated. You are not going to answer any of your questions now, though. You're going to answer my questions first. And I've learned that fifth graders love to answer their questions, so I'm going to hide this, and you're going to have to answer my question first. And then, if you do that, we can put this down and you can start answering your questions. Make sense? So whose question do you have to answer first? My question. Okay, awesome, thank you. So here we go. I'm going to reveal my question before I do that. This is how it's going to work. You're going to go back to your tables. You're going to work on your own. I'm going to walk around and actually make notes about who's doing what strategies you're using, how you're justifying your thinking, and seeing whose work I want to choose to show on the document. So I'm not going to let you talk about your work though. I'm just going to say, Paige, I'd love to look at your work. And I'm going to take it and put it up here, and Paige isn't going to be able to talk about it. So do you think your work should be neat?
Yes.
Yeah. Should it be organized?
Yes.
Yeah. Should it be labeled?
Yes.
Yeah. Should it show exactly everything that you do in your head? Right? So if you just put an answer and there's no work to support it, that's going to be hard for people to work in. Give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Great. Give me a little drum roll and I will reveal our question. All right. And stop. Here it is. Nicholas is painting that wall. What fraction of the entire wall is painted red at the end of the day? Is that your question? Josh had that question. All right. So, do you have a paper passer? Someone who has a job of